2025 and we're streaming blacksmithing, probably. If I could get my mic set up, that would be amazing. Sorry, guys. I'm running a little bit late because I got super into editing today. And sorry, I'm like trying to shove the microphone in my pocket so that it's all like, nice and there we go. I think I'm good now. Okay. There we go. Hey guys, I'm Ray and we're streaming blacksmithing and I forgot to turn on the record function. Hey, there we go. So I got super involved in editing today and because I am trying to put the last final touches on my Brazil brothers interview. And if you don't know who the Brazil brothers is, Ed and Brian Brazil, they are tool makers. They are the tool makers who taught Alex Steele how to make hammers. So they're pretty, pretty somewhat famous, Let's see. Let's turn on the forge so that I can get that heating. I had meant to turn that on before, but I got so involved I forgot to pull down the footage. So I needed to clear my cards before I was able to start. There we go. But the Mondays. Also, it is the first stream since daylight savings time happened. So, I mean, I feel like I'm running late all over because those of you who do not participate in daylight savings time, I'm like an hour late. So, I mean, there's that. So before I throw this in to the forge, check out what our axe looks like for now. It's pretty centered on this side. We've got a little bit of width starting, so I'm pretty happy about that. However, on this side, it's a little bit cockeyed. We've got a big bulge over here, and it's a little bit less bulgy over there. So I want to correct that. We'll probably do that sometime today. But in the meantime, yeah, it is kind of chisel shaped, which is exactly what we want it to be for the moment. So I really want to widen this out like so. And to that end, I have turned the dies on the press 90 degrees so that we're going to start putting the pressure in this direction instead of this direction. I want it to grow out and not long, if that makes sense. So I'm going to heat this guy up, and then we're going to get started. You know what else I forgot? Oh my goodness, I don't know how long it's going to take, but we're gonna run out of propane on that tank, and then I will have to scrounge for propane because that's the other thing I forgot to do today was buy new propane. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck. What am I looking for? I was looking for my jacket, which I left in the house. It's all right. It'll get warmer once the forge starts getting hot. We are under a ad break at the moment, so once that ends, I'll get started talking about what's going on this week. See, I'm so running late that I didn't even have time. You know what I am? It's something else I was looking for. Wow, brains. These. Now I can hear myself. One of these days. Yeah, I was running so late that I didn't even fill my water. So, I don't know. Goodness. I apologize for how discombobulated I am today. Like I said, I was editing my interview. It's the video that comes out this week. And so I was working very hard on the sound. This has to make the members exclusive bloopers reel. Probably. Goodness gracious. All right, the break has ended. So as I was saying, I got really involved in editing the interview that comes out on Wednesday on YouTube, and because I feel like it's very important what the Brazil brothers had said. So I wanted to make sure that it's very, it's very tailored and it's a very good video. But there was a bunch of sound issues because of the location. There's just like stuff going on all around it, so there's a lot of noise. And the sound canceling, it works very well, but only so much. So unfortunately, I had to sit there and like kind of tweak it, and I got really involved in that. And I looked up, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's almost time to stream. I gotta eat something. So that's what I did. I went and I ate, and So we will be running out of propane, and I'll have to scrounge for it for a little bit. Hopefully, I find a tank that we use for like, the mailbox at one point. I think Hardy is a good name. Hardy is a good name. Do you have to EQ some frequencies to quiet it down? What I actually did was, okay, so normally I will just use the in-camera sound for interviews like that because the camera mixes them very well. When I mic someone up, it's either it's mono, right? The mics that I use, they're normally mono, but the camera will actually turn that mono into stereo. So I normally just use the in-camera for the interviews. However, when there's like a whole bunch of active noise, then I can actually separate those tracks by using the sound that's recorded onto the mics themselves. So I kind of had to replace all of the sound and then kind of like mess with the levels. So it's a little bit better when it's not both of our mics producing all of the noise and the external sounds, and it just cuts it down to like the single mic. So it works a little bit better that way. Thank you so much, Mahalo, for your re-up. It says you've re-upped for 8 months straight. Man, that is crazy. It has been a long and amazing year this year. So thank you so much for your continued support throughout the stream. So, what else is happening? I finished up this weekend. We finished editing the photos for the plaid, or like the flannel photo shoot that I did last weekend. I haven't posted those anywhere where you guys can see them. I should do that. I'll probably post those in the Discord. Today on TikTok, only TikTok, the first flannel like ad came out on my TikTok channel under the, I'm not sure if it's under @RaySmithy or if it's just @Ray. But it's out there in the world and it's doing pretty well. Yeah. Things have been crazy this weekend on TikTok actually because my video has blown up. I made one about riveting. When we made these tongs, I riveted them together and I made a short on this rivet, and for whatever reason it has blown up. So I've been answering questions and comments on that all weekend, and it's got like 15,000 views at this point, I think. It's crazy. Hey, Master. Welcome to the stream. So I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a weekend. We'll just say that. Luckily, I have most of next week's video already done. All I have to do for that video is just put the music in the background of it. So I'll be back on track very shortly for that. And ready to go. Ready and raring to go. So, like I said, today I'm hoping that we get a really good chunk of the work left on this axe, and we get it close to done. Now I've put Wednesday as a day for the axe, just in case we need to like zhuzh it a little bit, or just put a little bit more finesse in there. But we will be almost done by the end of today, hopefully, fingers crossed. So our next project is going to be stolen from Corwin. Corwin has been doing a whole bunch of gorgeous hairpins, and so I'm going to try my hand on that as our next project. I'm expecting that to take maybe 1, maybe 2 days, and then after that we're going to start making the tools so that we can start making some armor. So that's kind of the project order as of now. As always, things can change, but that's where my headspace is at right now. So for the tools for that, the armor making project, we have 2 tools that we have to do, and so I'm gonna let you guys decide which tool you want first, because I don't need the tool to make the tool or the next tool. It could be done in any order. So the first tool that I need to do for that is, or tool number 1, or tool A, or whatever you want to say, is a stake. Now I'm going to show you what a stake might look like. So these are 2 different stakes. This is called a sinusoidal stake. This is for making complex multi-dimensional curves, right? So if you wanted to create a curve that went this direction, but also this direction at the same time, you would use a stake like this. So this is a sinusoidal stake. Hey, El Teller, welcome to the stream. This is just a raising stake. This one is for doing very flat bowl shapes, because it's got this like little lip here, and so it makes it harder to go deeper and create like vases and things like that. So I want to make a second stake like this. So we're going to take a chunk out of this A2 right here. This is also a piece of A2. Originally, I made this guy. I ground this one. So we're going to use the press and a hand hammer, and we're going to create a ball at the end of a stake that looks very similar to this. That way we can kind of get a good vase shape if we want one. So we'll probably be using a combination of all 3 of these stakes to create our armor. So that is the first project that I'm looking to do. Or I guess not necessarily the first one, but that's project A. Now, the other project that we're going to make is another hammer, right? And so the hammer that I'm looking at making is something really small, kind of like this guy. This guy is a car body hammer. It's used for taking dents out of like the body of your car, right? Well, this is also perfect for creating hammers like this are also perfect for creating vessels and armor and things like that, right? The reason I don't want to use this set of hammers is because this set is kind of rusty. They've got some pits in it. It's got a fiberglass handle. So I'm just going to make a hammer for that purpose. So it's another hammer or a stake. So it doesn't matter which order I do these 2 projects in. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys. I'm going to post a poll, and you guys can kind of tell me which you want to see first. So let's make a poll, if I can remember how to do it. Here's a poll. And we're going to do a new poll. And we are going to do a 10-minute poll. All right, so one answer is all right. We're gonna start the poll. Okay. So that is, or I have added the poll, and you guys can vote in that poll which project you'd like to see next. So hopefully, or I could, drop my board. Oh wow. Mahalo has donated to KoFi. Thank you so much for that donation. Wow. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for all of your support, whether you are just watching and watching ads, or whether you are subscribing, donating. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for all of your support. You guys are why I do this. It is, I love doing this. It's so much fun. Thank you so much, Mahalo. Thank you. Wow. So, like I said, this weekend has been kind of incredible for my content recently. So, like I said, my riveting video has 15,000 views on it on TikTok, and then on normally on YouTube, I don't get many views on the weekends because I don't post anything on the weekends. Well, this weekend, on Saturday, I got the same number of views that I got the rest of the week. So, I mean, we got well over, 30 subscribers this week. It's been incredible. Thank you guys so much for your support. Without you, I mean, I probably wouldn't be doing this anymore. So thank you guys so much. Wow. Okay, let's check our steel. Looks like it's a little bit cooler still. And like I said, I need to monitor this propane tank very closely. I should have 2 more propane tanks that have enough gas so that we can continue working through the entirety of the stream. So I'm not too worried about that, but it's still, I don't like having to change propane tanks in the middle of the stream anymore. It's just, it happens, but it's kind of like an abrupt interruption, and I want to keep on keeping on. So hopefully it doesn't happen more than once. So if I make the hammer, this guy right here is going to be what we're making it out of. This is like less than a pound of material. So this raising hammer is going to be really little. But this is plenty of material to create a really good raising hammer. We're going to be thinning it out this direction and lengthening it out. And I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be very similar to the hammer that we made last summer, but it's going to be a more precise tool that we need to do. So it's going to be a challenge, and I'm super excited for it. Super excited. So yeah. All right, how we doing? Still a little bit, or we still need a little bit more heat. I apologize. Like I said, I really wanted to start the forge a lot sooner than I did. I need to be a little bit more on my, my timekeeping. But yeah. So what else has been going on? we spent most of the weekend outside of answering social media. I spent most of my weekend answering it on my phone instead of on my computer because we were out using the van, testing out how well it does on trips and things like that. We didn't actually spend the night anywhere, but we went to a couple different locations, one on Saturday and one on Sunday, where we kind of used it as a little home base for a little bit of I guess not camping. I said not camping. Hiking, a little bit of hiking and some drone flight. So it's working beautifully. We've added a desk in there and a shelf, and there's a carpet and a bed, and it's really comfy in there now. So I'm really excited about our next trip and using the van to kind of get around, having to get a hotel room. It's really comfy, and I should be doing a video within the next couple weeks of a tour of it and how we made it. I'd be interested in seeing how you fit all of it in there. Yeah, like I said, I should be doing a video for YouTube within the next few weeks. I think I've got a couple more videos that are already in the hopper, but I will try and get that out sooner than later. Is a lot of hot air going out or of the oven? It can be used to make some barbecue. There is actually quite a bit of heat that radiates out from the front of the forge. You can't really see it because it is so hot. It's like a clear flame that licks up this direction from the front over this brick. And you could totally cook something from it if you wanted. However, it's super, super dusty in here, so I don't really recommend cooking in a blacksmith shop. Stitch and Silent, thank you so much for that lurk. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, we have grilled some, I guess, beef jerky. My partner threw some beef jerky in one of my friend's forges at one point, and said it was really, really good. I didn't eat any myself because, like I said, it's really, really dusty in a blacksmith shop, and I don't know. That's why I always have lids on my water and Gatorade. All right, I think we're getting to the point where now we're going to be able to start work. So I'm going to move the camera because, we're in a little bit of a, there we go. Normally I have the camera set up to the first shot I want to get, but today, I don't know. It's going to get better, I promise. Okay. We'll put this on focus. That way, we can see what we're doing. It's not a giant blur that makes us think that we need glasses. There we go. All right. It's time to get this axe into its workout routine, getting it into shape. Exactly. We are going to get this axe into shape. See if I can't get it out of the forge first, though. It's a little bit on the lazy side. Where is my tongs? I apologize. I'm all you can see my giant head. Where is it? Oh, wait, they're right there. I'm a dummy. Or I guess that's not my head that you guys were seeing. Probably a more interesting view, I'll admit. All right. So we're a little on the cooler side, but I think it'll be all right. Let's do this. All right, let's grab some more heat. So we got a few good squishes in there. We're gonna turn this over just so that we can make sure that it's nice and even in case one side is getting more squished than the other. It looks like the poll winner was the raising stake, the anvil-like object. Did you switch around did I switch around the squisher plate? Yes, I did. So, normally the squisher plates, I'm gonna say, but the dies for the press are horizontal, locked in there. Right now they're I'm gonna call them vertically, so I turn them 90 degrees. And the reason I did that is because when they sit in there horizontally, they are inclined to stretch the piece of material longer, and I want the piece of material to stretch wider, because what we're trying to do is we're going to try and go from like the thin axe blade, we're going to try and thicken it out, make it nice and wide so that you got that nice arc across that blade. Most of our, I want it to be axe shaped, so axes have a thinner section near the handle, and then they thicken out or widen out, I guess, closer to the blade. So with the 90-degree rotation, it's going to push the material outwards more than long. So that's why I did that. It's kind of like turning, or it's using a cross peen hammer. So if I wanted to create a longer piece, I would use the cross peen this direction. But if I wanted to make a piece wider, I would turn the cross peen 90 degrees, and that is going to squish the material this way. So yeah, I did. So that first heat was a little bit on the cold side because, it takes a while for the big forge to heat up. The reason it takes so long for the big forge to heat up is I designed this forge to be a 2-burner forge, and I was unable to get a hold of a second burner to put in there. So I did what I could, and I put one burner in the one burner that I already had from my previous forge. So a forge this big, it needs 2 burners, but this one only has 1. So it's a little bit on the colder side. I've kind of made up for it a little bit by filling in the bottom half. So that squishes in the space that I have available for projects as well as to heat. So it's going to get a little bit hotter a little bit quicker. So, not bad. But that's also why for our smaller pieces, we've started using the mailbox more frequently, because the mailbox is so small, it can kind of roast the piece real quick. Time for a wish list. Put a burner on it. Yeah, I do. I want to put another burner on it. I'm not entirely sure how I would go about doing it, though, because the burner that I have on is centered along the length. So if I wanted to put another burner on it, I would have to figure out where to put it so I could cut another hole in it. It'd probably be closer to the front, but then I'd have a hot spot in the front, and it would be colder towards the back of the forge. So I don't know. It's a trade-off. It's kind of like, do I want to save up and make another, or buy another burner, or do I want to save up and buy a new forge? A really good forge, the forge that I really want, is about $1,500, but we'll get there when we get there. Right now, the 2 forges that I have, they work pretty well. They work for what we do. So it's not the top on my want list, but it's on the want list. It looks like we've got an ad starting in about 2 minutes. I want to give the piece a little bit more time to heat up, so I will probably do my next heat right after that ad is finished. So I'm really excited about making the steak. That's one of the things that I really wanted to learn to do when I was first starting to blacksmith, making tools so that I could use them in my silversmithing. Because I started as a silversmith. I wasn't originally a blacksmith. I did a lot of working with steel, but more for large scale cold bending projects. And so it makes it really nice to be able to make my own steaks. Just curious, but would oven burners work, or are they not able to heat enough? An oven burner is really only good for about 400 degrees. You can push them up to 500 degrees, but they get close to burning out the coils. And that is what happened to my last oven. Not this oven. I do have a functional and working oven, but the last oven that I had, I decided that I wanted to do a little bit of casting. And I wanted to do pewter, and pewter has oh hi, for some reason I was no longer following you. Damn Twitch doing Twitch things again. Well, thank you so much for following me again. Welcome to the stream again, and welcome to the community again. But yeah, so pewter has a very low melting point. You can actually melt pewter on your stove top. Well, so I thought that if I put a wax, a flask of wax in the oven, I could bake it just like a turkey, And so I set it in there for, I set it in there for 8 hours at 400 degrees, thinking that the wax would just melt out of there. And you know what happened? I burned out my oven coils. So, and this guy gets up to close to 2,300 degrees, or that's ideally. I think this one probably gets more or closer to 2,000 degrees, and that's all in Fahrenheit. I'm sorry. I am a Fahrenheit, girly, because I live in the United States. But very, very hot. So oven coils just don't quite do it for me. They're great for what they do, but not for this purpose. So I am going to go and consult the mighty Google. So 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit translates to 1,260 degrees Celsius. 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit translates to about 1,093 repeating, or 0.3 repeating degrees in Celsius, and then 500 degrees, which is what you can reach in an oven, like a conventional oven, is about 260 degrees Celsius. So, Google, aka the great internet intelligence. Yes. So our ad break ends in about 30 seconds. Apparently, I've just been talking through the ad break, so I apologize to those of you who do not have a subscription or, what is it? I always get the Discord one and the Twitch one mixed up. Turbo, I think? And if I need to repeat myself, I am more than willing to do that. Turbo on Twitch, yeah, okay. I always mix up the Twitch Turbo with, the Discord, I don't even remember what Discord's is. But there's a premium service for Discord too. I feel like there's a premium service for everything. Nitro, yes. Nitro is on Discord. Thank you, Mahalo. I knew one of you would have the words, You usually do. All right, let's do another heat. As I catch my pants on the horn of the anvil. It's my favorite. There we go. So we're already starting to get a little bit of width. So that's really exciting. This heat, I focused in on the raised areas. The dies that they're half round, and so there's always going to be a raised section on the outsides of that. So if you continue to press down, you'll actually start widening things out. So we're going to flip this over, reheat it, and continue working. Hey Yankee, welcome to the stream. Hello Raiders, welcome, welcome. Hi, I'm Ray, I'm a blacksmith, and thanks Mahalo for getting my shout out ready for me. Thank you so much. So I'm Ray, I'm a blacksmith. Today we are currently working on an axe. Hello. Right now we have a pretty good axe-shaped object, but it's really thin towards the blade. So right now we are focusing on widening out that wedge so that we get that nice broad cutting edge, or I guess wedge that you can use for, this is supposed to be more of a, oh, I gotta go clean up. We got some drizzles. Okay. Have fun cleaning up. Maybe we'll see you later. Thank you so much, Yankee, for your raid. So yeah, we're trying to widen out the nice curve for that blade. This is going to be a really heavy splitting axe for splitting logs. Not just like little pieces of wood, like big logs and like stumps. Welcome in, welcome in. So if you have any questions at all, please yes, please do not hesitate to ask. I love answering questions. If you've got any good puns or dad jokes, share those too. Come on. I love dad jokes. I love puns. So thank you for joining me. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. Today has been amazing already, and we've only been at it for 45 minutes. Goodness gracious. So last weekend, we brought the laptop in the van. And my van is converted into a camper van, and so we were kind of testing out, we just recently converted it. So we were kind of testing it out, just like the ergonomics of it and like, you know, how it's going to function, because I do a lot of traveling to blacksmithing events and I want to take you guys with me. So if I can take my cameras and my laptop, it makes it a lot easier to do that. So we've been testing things out, and we brought the laptop last weekend, and I did not watch my partner unpack the camera bag that we had the laptop in. So when I was looking for all my gear to set up today, I was like, oh, please tell me that the butler did not bring my laptop to work. Obviously, they didn't, because I'm here, I'm streaming, and I couldn't do that without my laptop. But I was super excited to find it in the bag. But you know what? If I didn't have it, I'd find some other way. Maybe we'd stream from my phone or something. But yeah, I'm super excited to be here. It's just been, I'm a little bit discombobulated again. Touring in real life streams of blacksmithing. Oh, yes, please. Yeah. I am here and I am blacksmithing. So I guess that I've got 2 of those boxes checked. But yeah, so. Yeah, like I said, I'm a little discombobulated because I was really into my editing today. So something funny happened today. I was looking, like I said before earlier today that my TikTok has been blowing up. I take little clips of the stream and I post them to TikTok and people watch them and sometimes they comment. And one video particularly has been blowing up. It's a video of me riveting this pair of tongs together. Anyway, somebody gave me a nasty comment talking about how women couldn't possibly blacksmith because they're just not strong enough. And apparently it started an argument, and I was really happy because then I didn't even have to, defend myself. It was just happening already. So there are good people out there, even on the internet. All right, let's do another heat. It's been kind of interesting playing with TikTok. Normally I'll watch TikToks and I'm not as big of a fan of making them, but I've been trying. It's been working relatively well though. So it looks like my dies are moving on me, so we'll have to fix those. So that it's not weird on us. If the comment is still up, I'm tempted to troll him. Morning all, or evening. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome, welcome. Yankee is rating me again with 4 more people. Awesome. Thank you. I forgot to shut down the raid, so I caught some stragglers. Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. All right. So it seems that I did not put my dies in quite tight enough. So they're starting to move a little bit. I think it's the top die that I'm having the problem with. So let's recenter this. And then instead of just using a wedge, I think what I'm going to do is use a C-clamp. The C-clamp should work pretty well. Oh, I don't want to do it that direction. I want to do it this direction. There we go. And now we're going to put the wedge back in. At least I'm going to try to put the wedge back in. It's not wanting to go. That's all right. There we go. All right. Should stay in there real nice and tight. All this talk about dies is making the Misfits also covered by Metallica song Die, Die, My Darling pop into my head. I don't know. As long as it doesn't ping the censorship on like YouTube or Twitch because I'm saying that word over and over again. What I am saying is dies as in die casting or dies as in like manufacturing dies as opposed to the action of unaliving. Interstate Travel Crew, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. I hope not. I mean, yeah, there are occasionally times when like things like that get caught by the different sensors and stuff like that. So I just hope that, you know, I haven't caught them because I've been saying that word a lot too in reference to the dies on the press. Just some old school punk. Yes. I like some punk here and there. I was more of an emo kid though, because I think I'm a little bit young for the really old punk, you know. Another in real life streamer and or to raid to. Yes. Hello. I'm Ray. I'm a blacksmith. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now that daylight savings time, you know, it is over. Yeah, that's what I mean. I stream in real life trucking. Ooh, nice to meet you too. Trucking sounds like both fun and obnoxious at the same time. I've heard so many people talking about how like it's so good to be out on the road and, you know, just the freedom, but also, you know, you've got to be there for like on time and for all your loads and stuff. And that can be hard at times, especially when like things happen to your loads. Misfits were before my time, although the singer Danzig was during my time. I'm an owner-operator, so my life, if different. I mean, yeah, it would definitely be different. Do you have to organize your own loads, or do you go through like a dispatcher as an owner-operator? Hey, Bungalow, welcome to the stream. What countries are you driving by? That would be interesting. Yeah, what countries and or counties, or I guess states maybe, if you're, you know, from the United States. I am a U.S. artist or U.S. based artist, but I do have a lot of European and worldwide audience. So, you know. I'm leased on to a company and they dispatch me. I can accept them or deny them. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I used to drive for DoorDash for probably about 6 months. And I'm not going to say they're exactly the same thing or anything like that, but I imagine that it's similar, right? You probably don't necessarily have an app or whatever. You probably have somebody that like calls you. But when I did DoorDash, I like opened up the app and then, you know, it would alert me and be like, you have a job here. Do you want to pick it up or do you want to decline it? And so I would look at it, I'd be like, this is how much it's going to pay me, this is how far it is, and then I could either accept or decline it. DoorDash is kind of like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with it. Although DoorDash, I feel like they're not always the most fair and economical when what they give you, because it's about 50 cents a mile, but the miles are straight as the crow flies. So a job could be 2 miles away, but you're driving like 6 miles because you have to drive around the streets. So I don't know. Ever seen the show Shipping Wars? Midwest region. Awesome. I am also based in the Midwest region of the U.S. I live on the outskirts of St. Louis, Missouri. I live on the Illinois side, though. So I live within an hour of St. Louis. But yeah, so I'm pretty familiar with most of the Midwest. Well, most of the northern Midwest. I grew up in a place called the Quad Cities. It is on the west side of Illinois from Chicago. Yep, I've seen Shipping Wars. I passed through there not long ago. Yeah. Let's see. What else are we up to? Or what else are we up to? We are blacksmithing, obviously, but I was checking my heat. Let's do another heat. I know of the Quad Cities. Yeah. It's a weird little area. I don't live there now, but I did grow up there. All right, let's see if I did this correctly. So we're getting pretty good there. Good results. It's not thinning out quite as quickly as I want it to be, but we're getting a lot of width. So we will probably spend a little bit of time on the anvil, continuing to widen this out. I do want to flip this over, and we're going to keep on flipping it over just so that we get an even squish the whole way around. So more heat. Mo heat, mo heat. No company does all. Oh wow. No company does all the bidding jobs. I just take loads or reject them. I am a power unit only hauler. No trailer, less headaches. The company is privatized to the 5th largest beef producer in the U.S. This morning's project is going to be forge welding together the ends of a wheat twist element for a project. As soon as I get finished with my coffee. That sounds like a fun project. We spent a little bit of time forge welding a couple weeks ago on a Friday. We spent the whole stream forge welding, or at least attempting to forge weld, trying to get a little bit more comfortable with it. We will be doing a few more attempts at that. I'm thinking if it's warm enough, it might be a good the whole weekend or the whole week of Thanksgiving. The butler will be around, so if it's warm enough outside, we might do another full day of just straight forge welding. So I haven't. We don't know if it's going to be warm enough to do that, but it's something I'd like to do. Gotta keep on practicing because I'm still kind of bad at it. But I wish you luck on your forge welds. I really want to get good enough that I'm comfortable forge welding dissimilar metals together. So maybe I can make some Damascus steel at some point next year. Maybe, maybe the year after. It depends on how much improvement I make. Dissimilar, or high carbon steels for Damascus steel tend to be a little bit more expensive than mild steels, and I would hate to screw it up enough that I would just ruin it. I just don't have the funds to be able to ruin things anymore. I know I've seen you do a wheat twist before, Lexi. Awesome. I would love to see it. So if I don't get to see you stream it, I would love to see a picture of it. If you're willing to share, that is. All right. What else has been going on? Isn't high carbon steel just put in waste oil? High carbon steel, you do temper high carbon steel in oil. I mean, you could use waste oil. I tend not to because when you quench steel in oil, it tends to burn. And a lot of the waste oil, it's got some nasties in it that I just don't want to. I don't want the fumes in the shop. So I personally, when I am when I'm quenching high carbon steel, I tend to use cooking oils like canola oil. There are also a few oils that are specific to quenching, and those are really good as well. But I mean, like I said, any oil will do. Some are just a little easier than others, I feel like. If you can find a huge sawmill blade or blade section that's 15 and 20 usually. Yeah, I do have a few, I always keep my bandsaw blades. When they get dull, I keep them so that I can make dissimilar steels. There are ways that you can get relatively cheap material, but I also really like to start with good, clean, new material because it makes things a little bit easier. I know some would use waste oil for hardening. Yeah, it's possible to do. And, if that's what you got, that's what you got. I just, I think it's more of my preference personally. I just use good old cheap veggie oil. Like I said, that's usually what I use as well. But, I mean, to each their own. We've got an ad that's going to start in about 3.5 minutes. Let's see if I can't beat the ad. So we'll do another heat. Usually I can beat the ads. Occasionally I'll start talking about the heat if I'm going to miss it. Nice. All right, we're gonna flip it over and start on the other side. Heat it up on the other side. There we go. I have turbo, so no ads here. Such violence on ads. When did they ever, or what did they ever do to you to deserve a beating? A beating? I hope we're not beating ads. Or, you know, beating them up. I would like to, or I would not like to see your gas bill. I do have a relatively large gas bill when it comes to propane. I do go through at least a tank a week. Oh, I was talking about beating the ad. Okay, yes, I do want to beat the ad in a race. You know, I want to make sure that I finish my my heat before the ad. A week, wow, yeah. So I normally use barbecue grill tanks. So they're like, you know, the 20-pound pigs that you can just like replace at your local hardware store. I get about a week out of them. But I only use them for the stream itself. Just wait till that axe is finished. Yeah, I will be able to axe the ads. That's about $80 a week to refill. 20 to 30 to 40. It's a 20-pound, so it costs me about 25 bucks a week. So I mean, it costs about $100 a month, and or to, you know, keep us going on the stream. But you know, it's worth it. I have a lot of fun. I think you guys have a lot of fun. Not too shabby. Yeah, it's not bad. It really isn't. We are going to have to change it relatively soon because we're running on the bottom end of this tank. I forgot to buy a new tank, so I'm going to have to find some propane. So I think I might actually take some time to do that right now, just to find the most full tank. I should have purchased a new tank this week, but I didn't. I will have a new tank. Okay, this one's relatively full. This one's like half full. I don't know why I had this on the replacement pool. But yeah. I've been wanting to do some smelting, like copper, aluminum, etc. I can talk a little bit about that once this ad is over. The biggest tank you can get is 100 pounds. It is. Oftentimes, those you have to refill. You buy the tank and then you have to buy refills every so often. Those would actually last me a much, much longer period of time. I can also increase the amount of time that I get to stay on the same tank by using a smaller forge. So the mailbox, it's the tiny forge that's right next to the big forge. That one I can get 2, maybe 3 weeks out of a 20-pound tank because it's so efficient, it's so small. So yeah, I actually went to school and I specialized in casting, as well as a little bit of silversmithing and some sculpture making. So I did a lot of casting. We did aluminum, we did bronze, we did an iron pour. I've done sterling silver, brass. I've never done gold, but I had the opportunity. I just was never able to. And after a few years, you would have to rectify the tank, which can be a pain to go through all the time. Yes, because like you have to take care of the tanks, which is why I tend to use the 20-pounders. I don't have to take care of these tanks. The company that I trade them to takes care of them and makes sure that there's no leaks or anything, and the valves work function properly. I used to use 100-pound tanks, but nowadays I almost exclusively use coal. In my younger age, I was in the foundry, cast iron, aluminum, and brass. I love doing it. It's just at the scale that I want to do it in, which is a relatively large scale, I have to have multiple people. So I have to scale down if I'm going to do some because I only have one assistant right now. I wish I could use more coal. I do actually have a lot of coal just laying around, but until I find a good solution for a flume, I can't do it in here. So I do have like a window and I have like a stove vent, but it's just not strong enough. So I've got to build a hood for my coal forge so that we can start using it in here. And then I'll start using a little bit more coal. We're going to need to change the propane tank relatively soon. I think I can get one more heat out of it though. Let's do that. I'll do one more heat and then I'll change the tank. So I've talked a lot about what I've done this weekend, but I haven't asked you guys what you've been doing this weekend. Did you guys do anything fun over the weekend? So we're getting a lot of width in there, and I'm pretty happy with it. But for our next heat, we're going to go over to the anvil, and I'm going to kind of smooth out the transition between the skinnier section and that wider section. We've got a bump out here and there that I want to address, and then we will continue working. I also want to see if we can't thin out the edge of the blade a little bit more. I fixed my pickup and got a new ABS sensor and changed the rotors and brakes. Got all that done and went to get the oil change in the pickup. Cool. Not on the outer side. There's a gap in the Class A pipe. I have a 12-inch pipe on mine. Has a paper sticker on it that hasn't burned off yet in 8 years. Wow. That is impressive, actually. That means that your flume is staying relatively cool, which means that the heat generated from the smoke is going out of the forge or out of the flume very quickly. Very, very nice. Alrighty. Okay, I have moved the camera to the anvil so that you guys will be able to see what when we do. I'm going to work on the face of the anvil a little bit. So now, I think I'm actually going to change the gas tank preemptively It's a little bit low. A little bit cold, or running a little bit cold. So let's change that real fast. I'm a little bit afraid to submerge it in water like closer towards the winter time, because I would leave it out here full of water and it'd probably freeze the tank inside the water. Okay, we're good on that. Let's do a proper heat, or I mean a start. That way it doesn't blow up. Not blow up, but like pop. Oh, and it did anyway. So when I was in the aluminum foundry, the exhaust vents had hoods and used 18-foot diameter pipes and suction fan to get the heat out of the molding areas. It's not closed up like a wood stove, draws in a lot of fresh air. Awesome. So yeah, I need something that's a little bit, better to draw out the smoke. Right now, I just have like a stove vent, like a stove hood, or an oven hood, and the fan on that is just not strong enough. So I need to actually build a flume for it. Yeah, I had a 6-inch single wall on mine when I lived in Texas. It got warm, but not overly so. It wouldn't keep up while lighting the fire, but once it smoothed out, it had enough draw. That's good. We have the same propane company here. See, I have 2 propane companies that I often use. We've got Blue Rhino, and then I also have somebody else. I don't remember what the other one's called, but Lowe's does a different company than, I think it's AmeriGas. Lowe's does one company and Home Depot does the other. And I purchase one or the other depending on if I have to go and get something else and the propane, or if I'm just going for propane. Because the Lowe's is quicker and closer to me, and they have the Blue Rhino. But if I need to get like gas or a grocery, or just like a piece of something else, I oftentimes go to the Home Depot because it's near a shopping center, so I can go to Walmart and the gas station and get food and get propane all at the same trip in the same general area, whereas Lowe's is kind of all by itself. And that's why I have 2 different, gas labels. All right. Much, much hotter. This is going to be nice. It's good. So like I said, we're going to take our next heat here on the face of the anvil. I'm going to kind of straighten out a few of those ripples, and then because the half round die is creating raised ridges as I widen this out. And then after I'm done with that, I'm going to spend a little bit of time here on the horn, and that's going to be so that I can ease the transition between the wide section and the skinnier section. So my half round die, it's a combination die. So while the entire die is about yay long, the half round section is about yay long. So I only have like a little tiny section, like the very edge of the blade that's widening out, and I want a good transition. Right now we've got a weird bump out. I have a propane place fill them when it comes time, and they don't want to refill, I go do the tank exchange. So I have a place that will fill them for cheaper than I can exchange. But the reason that I exchange instead is because the place that fills them has really weird hours, and I never know if they're going to be open or not. And then they also, like, I have to like, if I refill them, I have to maintain the valves. I don't want to have to do that. Instead of doing research, okay. Couldn't you use liquid like they do in commercial metal cutting? Like, I don't really have an industrial contract. I mean, there are industrial gas locations that I could go to for some of that stuff, but it's just easier for me just to go to normal places, you know, like hardware stores and stuff like that. I also tend to try and use tools and materials and things that are readily available, because a lot of my audience are new blacksmiths. And if I use readily and easily obtainable things, then it helps people realize that, you know, starting blacksmithing is not, it's not impossible. So I have no choice with my 100-pound tank, so I have to refill it each time. I can exchange the two 20-pound tanks that I have, though. Yeah, I do also have like the place that refills them. You can do from 20 pounds all the way up to 100 pounds. It's harder to get a 100-pound tank unless you buy them special. And like I said, I try to use readily available things that people can get their hands on as much as possible. Alright. Alright, let's do another heat. Alright, so we've smoothed out the transition between this section and that section. Now I need to smooth out these bump outs. I'm going to get a little bit more heat before I do that, because it's going to be a little bit upsetting. If you get a propane exchange versus filling it, it is a half-gallon lighter for the same price. Is it? I don't know. Like I said, I primarily do the exchange. So, Nuts, are you planning on streaming on Facebook, on Twitch, or on YouTube, or TikTok? You should totally post your socials when you get it all set up and you know where you're gonna go. I am always excited to watch other people's streams. I've been doing YouTube. All right, you should totally post your your YouTube handle in the Discord, or at least here in the chat. That way we can all take a look and follow and stuff, or subscribe to you. Michael, dude, thank you so much for cheer 300. Thank you so much. Thanks for the support. Man, you guys have been like showering me with support today. Thank you so much. You guys make it possible for me to continue. Make it easier to continue, you know? I use all the money that I get from doing this for more propane. You know? Propane. You must buy. You must buy propane. But yeah, thank you so much. My brother was a propane distributor that filled the Blue Rhino tanks. If I remember the numbers, a regular fill is 4.3 gallons and a Blue Rhino is 3.7. Really? If that's the case, then maybe I'll have to like see if AmeriGas is doing a little bit better than that. Cause yeah, I don't want to get ripped off on my gas. I'll have to take a look. I tried Twitch Sunday, but I need to figure some stuff out. That makes sense. Like I said, Twitch is a little bit more, there's a little bit more of a challenge to getting set up with Twitch because OBS it's very open source. It's easy to use. You can totally do whatever you want with it. But because it is so open source and so wide, like use case wise anyway, it's a little bit clunkier and it's not amazingly intuitive. Yeah, he was AmeriGas too. Okay. If you have a bathroom scale, you can weigh your tanks before and after. I'm not a really techie person. See, neither am I. And I was able to figure it out. I kept asking the butler if he could help me set up all of my stream stuff. And the only thing that he would do for me is set up my cameras and make sure that they looked good. I had to figure out OBS and Twitch all by myself. I'm gonna say if I can do it, you can do it too. But you know, I'm not gonna push you. All right, I'm gonna do another heat, and we are going to even out the transition a little bit. There we go. That's better. See, that's a much more even transition. We had some bump outs prior to this, and they've evened out on the edge of the horn there. So we're gonna do a few more passes to kind of get it a little bit wider. It's starting really to look like an axe, so I want to thin out this blade section. I want to prevent as much grinding as possible. So we're gonna do a little bit more squishing on that end. So I think we're doing pretty well. Not too bad. The other thing that I need to do today, and I'm not sure if we'll get to it today, is I need to work on the sides of where the handle goes. Right now we've got some uneven lumps and bumps that I really want to even out. And there is a section here where I drilled out the pilot hole, and I want to even that out so that it doesn't ruin my handles. John Brunel, 2068 on YouTube. I will have to let me get out my phone and I will subscribe real fast so that I don't forget. Let's see. Search. Nice job, Ray. It's really taking shape now. See, it is. I figure it would work for me. The mic is a bit choppier today than last time, so I'm sorry about that. Uh, 68. Search. Don't have many kids. I have like 20 subs. Subscribe. There we go. I have subscribed to you. Okay. If my mic is a bit choppier today than the last few times, let me see if it is because I was kind of in a hurry when I put everything together today. So I don't know if that would have helped or not. I apologize if it doesn't. 21 now. Yay! Right now, not drops. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't really know how to fix it. If it's not just me shoving the little connectors closer together, I'm not entirely sure how I would fix it without really like restarting things. And I can't do that today. No drops. Me not type today. Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was the noise compressor when I was near the forge. It probably is, to be honest. Y'all know how loud it is in the shop. I have to wear the headphones so that I can hear myself. So I will try not to stand near the forge today. Now it seems to be fixed. Okay. Lexi is my biggest fan. I don't know. We might have to duke it out. I will totally watch your stuff, your streams and your VODs and stuff. I love watching that. Okay, I'm going to do another heat here on the anvil. We're going to flatten that out just a little bit further. Then we're going to go back over to the press. Catches every stream. See, I don't know that I can do that. So maybe Lexi is going to be your biggest fan, because I don't know that I'll be able to catch every single stream every time, unfortunately. I get busy sometimes. I try, though. I do not know what that was. Okay. Not bad. We're going to go back in the forge, and then we're going to use the press a little bit. 1 or 2 more heats. To thin that out a little bit. I don't want it to get too thin, but I think we can manage to use the press a little bit. And then we're going to start working on the handle. But it's really starting to shape up. Muscles of steel. I try. I'll try getting out there to do more streams on weekends. Cool. All right, time to walk down to the shop. Have fun. Enjoy your time. I have to be. John has been a great friend and helped me out a bunch. It is awesome to have friends that are supportive of your hobbies and your job. That is awesome. All right, so like I said, we're gonna do our next couple heats here on the anvil. I've got an ad that is going to be popping up any minute now. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to move our camera. Focus it up. There we go. You gonna do anything when you get there? I'm sure we're gonna do lots of stuff. All right, so we are in the middle of an ad, so sorry to duck out early. I got some firewood to split and stack before dark. Keep up the good work. It was fun. Thanks, Mahalo. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you later. Thank you so much for your continued support. Yeah. We're going to keep on keeping on. I probably won't finish this particular axe today, but we are going to do our best. We're going to get it mostly done today, and on Wednesday, if we have to keep on keeping on, then it probably won't even take the whole day. We're getting really, really close. I'm gonna have to come up with a new set of tongs to use too, for when we flip it over. All right, wheat is back. All righty, I'm gonna do another heat on the press. Now that the steel is getting thinner, it's getting hotter a lot faster. We can do a lot more work this way. This thing started out as a monster, and we're starting to get really nice looking. Look at that. It's not bad. focus in on this area here. So I think I might actually take the dies and turn them back horizontal again. Maybe. Machine down, have to go to work. All right. Hopefully you get it fixed up soon. Thank you so much for joining us. I feel like daylight savings time has this a little bit later, and so a lot of people are getting busy later on in the stream. But that's okay. You know what? Real life comes first. All right, I am going to turn the dies 90 degrees back around the way that they normally go. That way, let's see if we can't. That way we can kind of thin out. Or maybe I want to do it this way, I don't know. That's what I want to do. That way we can get to closer to the edge. We can thin that out a bit. As I smack my headphones on the edge of the... I'm going to use my welding glove to do this because it's a little bit warm. Not like burning hot, but hot enough or warm enough that I don't really want to touch it with just my skin. Oh, come on. Does it want to go the opposite direction? Sometimes it does. There it goes. Okay, maybe it doesn't want to go that direction. Okay. We'll go this direction. I'm so glad we don't fool with daylight savings time here. See, I would be so happy if we abolished daylight savings time and every single year Congress votes to end daylight savings time, and then they can never decide what to leave it on. And I feel like it's pretty obvious that they should just leave it on regular, like, standard time and not screw around with daylight savings time or, like, the extra, you know, because they're labeled standard time and daylight savings time for a reason. So I am currently tightening in the dies so that they don't move around as we're using the press. We are changing the dies back to their regular orientation. So if you can't see me, that's what I'm up to. I can't quite read chat from here, unfortunately. I wish I could. It'd be nice if I could. I gotta get closer to the anvil for that. There we go. That's better. You need to get a crystal ball. I do need to get a crystal ball. That way I can predict what you guys are going to ask before you even ask it, right? That's what crystal balls are for, predicting the future. Okay. I'm going to take a drink real fast, and then we're going to do another heat. Another heat. Okay, no. Let's do this. Whoops. I'm going to have to use the flat die. Make this work for me. Alright, we're going to flip this around, come at it from this end, and then I'm probably going to go back over to the anvil and we'll finish off the blade. Then we'll flip it over and start working on the handle section. What's that say? Rigged! I mean, it totally would be rigged. I would rig my crystal ball. It would only give you the questions that I want to answer. The ones that make really good content. So I'm actually really excited about this piece. It's really starting to shape up. It looks like an axe now. I'm super excited about that. We've got quite a bit of thickness yet left in the blade, and I really wanted to kind of thin it out a little bit more. And I probably will, just so that I don't have to grind as much. But I mean, it doesn't need that much more forging. Most of the forging that is left that we still need to do is in the handle section. So once we're done messing with the blade, we will go back and once again start using our drift. So this drift is going to hold open the handle, or like the section where the handle is going to sit, while we kind of shape that back end. It's going to flatten out the little pilot hole divots that's in there still, and it's going to widen it out a little bit. I want it, or like I ended up putting the let's start that that statement again. So I left the hole for the handle a little bit smaller than I want it to be in the end. I want it to be closer to here at the end, and the reason for that I left it small is so that I had enough space to continue to shape and finish the sides of the axe and make them exactly how I want them to be. So every time I forge down the area where that hole is, that hole is going to expand and get bigger. So I didn't want to make the hole too big too quickly. I wanted to leave myself some space. I finally finished my mountain bike. Did you? That's exciting. So it functions now. What are we going to do with it? Are we just going to use it to ride around town and get groceries? Or are you going on a trip with it? Or I'm not really a big bicycle fan, to be honest. I have a little bit of scoliosis, so my back kind of curves a little bit weirdly. And a bicycle was like a regular bike was not designed with that in mind. So I do have a recumbent bike that I have access to, but I've never used it. I can cycle around in the snow. Do you have really fat snow tires on your bike? That's a thing, right? People have fat tires for like ice and snow. Let's do another heat. Last heat on the press for the blade. For the moment, at least. I am very happy with this axe so far. So we're going to go back over to the anvil so that we can smooth that out again. That last time we're going to thin out the blade a little bit, and then we're going to start working on the handle. Yeah, or studded tires. Designed for mud. I also think it can handle snow. I was going to buy winter tires for my scooter until insurance was $2.5 a month bill. Ooh. Scooter insurance sounds really expensive. And here I thought scooters was the way to go for like travel abroad. Maybe it is. Okay. Ready for our next heat on the anvil. I don't know why it wasn't paid last month. They didn't give you credit for your scooter insurance? That's lame. I hope you get it worked out. I hope you get it worked out. I'm set up to record this project, so I'll post it on my YouTube channel later after editing and voiceover. Cool. I will definitely take a look. If you post, did you give me your links to your YouTube? I can probably complain about it, but I won't get anything. That stinks, though. It does. So yeah, if you're on my YouTube or on my Discord, you should totally post a link when you're done editing it. Like $56 a month. $56, you should totally get, you know, your service. All right, let's do another heat. All right, so we're gonna do a couple more heats on this. I think maybe like one more good heat on this should do it. I want to smooth out this little bulge here on the horn. Then we're gonna flatten this out one more time, and then we'll flip it around. So I think one more heat on this side. No, it's Transcendental Artist Studio or the Alexis Project 2020. Okay. Let me look that one up too. On the YouTubes. Don't look at my old content. Oh, you posted a link. Let me click on the link. That'll make it a lot easier. Subscribe. See, my old content is horrible too. It's all right though, because the longer you do it, the better it gets, and then you know. You gotta practice to make perfect, right? I pay for comprehensive insurance, $168 this month. So, but that's this month and last month. That's not terrible. It's a brand new scooter I bought in September. I mean, that's not bad for a brand new scooter. Yeah, that's not terrible. But then I'm reading it as though you know, I know for a fact that you're from the United States, and I don't know that for sure. So, you know, maybe I'm completely off base, but it sounds pretty decent. But you know what? I totally forgot to flip my camera. I'm so sorry, guys. I thought I did that. Apparently I did not. Goodness gracious. Like I said, I'm a little bit discombobulated today. But that's all right. That's all right. Everybody's like that occasionally, right? I am from Denmark. See, like I said, I don't know what prices would be like in Denmark. Maybe that's outrageous. You'll have to let me know. Like I said, I live here in the United States, in the Midwest. We don't have the best cost of living, but we also don't have the worst here in the United States. I feel like $100,000 a year is pretty decent. I mean, you can live a decent, okay life. Maybe not go on vacation every single, but I mean, you know, it's livable. But there are a lot of places where that's not true anymore. All right. I think I'm going to do another heat, and then I think from here, we are going to turn this guy around. Oh, I wanted to mess with this right here. Smooth out that transition a little bit first. There we go. Alright. All that smoothing and I screwed it up again. That's alright though. I'll grind it if I have to. Alright, so we are going to turn this around. We're going to heat up this section right here. But first I got to figure out a good pair of tongs to hold it with. Do I have a good pair of tongs to hold it with? Let me try these. These are probably too fat. Are they going to hold them well? No, they're not going to hold them well. Let's try a different set. And while I do this, I'm going to do that so that you can watch me a little bit closer. Let's see. Do I have better tongs that we can use for this purpose? Maybe these? That'll work for, or not. I guess it'll work for now. I don't really have to use them that much just to get them to the point where I can stick them on the drift. My employer thought my scooter was a motorcycle. I totally understand that. Scooters and motorcycles are mistakable. I'm not saying they're interchangeable, but it's understandable that you might mislabel one. Victor Comc98, thank you so much for your subscription or your follow. Thank you so much. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the stream. I hope you have fun. Vespa, that's because it's a little bigger. Simjet 1450. Huh. I have to look that up. I've always wanted to have a motorcycle or a scooter, but I've never been able to get a hold of one because my funding is limited. I have a very expensive hobby, you know. When I get Vespa or motorcycle money, I end up getting a large piece of equipment for the shop. Priorities, you know. So we've got an ad incoming in about 2.5 minutes. So once that ad is over, we'll do our first heat on the handle section. I think that's what I said. I'm gonna need this guy. So I'll keep that close. But yeah, we're gonna need a little bit of time to heat up the back end because it's a lot fatter than the blade of this axe. Pay $33.58 for it. See, if I had $33.58, I would be thinking about getting getting a power hammer, like a little giant, a used one, or another anvil, or another forge. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I could do with that much. But I mean, like I said, it's all priorities, you know? If you need a Vespa or a motorcycle, that's, you know, that's what you do with it. There is a cricket in here. crawling all over my floor. Probably because it's warm in here and it's getting cooler outside. I'm finally getting a press on Friday. Corwin, awesome. A dangerous place to be for any inner insect. Yes, on the floor of a smithy. I mean, you never know. I might drop the axe on the floor and then it would get crushed and burned at the same time. That would be awful. It is a very dangerous place for an insect inside here. Looks like we're starting to get a little bit of heat going on the back end of the axe. Hopefully, we'll be able to get a little bit more after the ad. I'm gonna check my camera just to make sure I've got a decent view of everything that's going on. As I trip over some steel. I'm all right though, guys. I don't have far to go if I were to trip and fall there. And I got relatively soft things to land on, so I think I'm all right. I think I might actually go over here instead of where I was gonna go for this. There we go. I need to move the stuff that's right there because I oftentimes trip over it when I am moving the camera around. So that to me says I need to move it. All right, is the camera in the view? No, it is not. Awesome. Is there twice today someone went out on the bike path with their head down on the phone? Ooh, that's not cool. But people shouldn't be riding bikes while on cell phones. Texting and driving, even if it's just a bike, it's very dangerous. No texting and driving. So the ad break is going to end in about 40 seconds, and then I'll do my next couple of heats. We are getting towards the end of the stream. I think we're going to do the vast majority of shaping the back end, the handle area, probably on Wednesday. Probably more dangerous on a bike because it's easier to lose control. Probably. I mean, it's already hard enough to steer for one-handed, but also distracted by a cell phone. I mean, it's any wonder why this person fell, or these people fell. All right, I'm gonna try to do a first heat. I'm probably not gonna make much in the way of progress. But I just want to see how it's going to work. So, let's try this. I think next time, though, I think I'm going to bring a Band-Aid out here. Or, put a Band-Aid on my knuckle. I, kind of burned my knuckle the other day. Over here. Whoopsie. It's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Dropping things. Let's grab the other set of tongs. Oopsie. We made a decent amount of, or like, we didn't actually, or we made more progress than I thought we were going to, is basically what I'm trying to say. So not bad. I need to remember which direction I started on, though. So it looks like we were hammering on that side, so I need to turn it this way so that I put the drift in this direction. I want to make sure that I am not hammering over air. So the drift is tapered, right? So it's thinner on this side than it is on this side. So I want to make sure that when I'm hammering, I am not hammering over air, so I'm not collapsing our hole. So I want to hammer directly onto the section that's touching, so that I can maintain I want to maintain a hourglass shape hole for the handle. If that makes any sense. And like I said, it's probably going to take a little bit of time. We're probably not going to make much in the way of progress today, but we will be doing more of this on Wednesday. If any of you want to check out my Facebook blacksmith page, check out Squared Circle Ironworks. Yes, check out Squared Circle Ironworks on Facebook for Corwin's work. Last I saw, Corwin had some really great candy canes and some hairpins up. Really great work. And if you're looking for Christmas presents, you know, great place to go. Handmade Christmas presents. And we will be getting ready and doing a little bit of blacksmith Christmas presents as well. Sometime middle of November, I am planning on, a couple weeks maybe, I am planning on doing some jingle bells. We're going to start with some sheet metal, and we're going to form them into jingle bells. And they're like, in theory, they should actually be functional as jingle bells, and making like the jingle sound. Yeah. So I think I'm probably going to do 2 more heats. We're going to on one side, and then we're going to flip it and work on the other side. And then we'll probably end for the day. I will be back on Wednesday. If you guys have any suggestions for who you want to raid, I always take suggestions. I also have like a channel point redeem for that if you guys want to direct the raid. I added a couple of channel point redeems to the channel. We've got, you know, the direct the raid, and then we have random polls. We'll come up with a random stupid poll to talk about. Starting to run low on my Gatorade. I was running late, so I didn't even fill up my water, so I've just been drinking Gatorade all day. All right, let's do another heat. See if I can make this work without dropping it this time. That would make me a happy, happy camper. starting to flatten that out a little bit, but we've got a little ways to go. Like I said, I want to work on the center pilot hole. We've got a little bit that we need to take out of that. We're also going to shove the drift down a little bit. I want to make this longer. I'm glad you don't have a jump scare option like some of people I follow. Could be disastrous. It could definitely be disastrous. However, I don't actually have the ability to do that right now because our sound is plugged directly into the headphone jack for the laptop. So I don't have any sound at all when I do this. So if I were to get sound, I would have to rig something else up to get sound, and it would probably end up being Bluetooth in my headset. These don't have Bluetooth, but I have another set that is Bluetooth compatible. I actually really love Bluetooth compatible headphones, sound canceling headphones, because then I can listen to my music while I'm forging. I don't do that out here while I'm streaming because then I would get really distracted and I would forget what I was doing if I was listening to music too. So it wouldn't work anyway. It wouldn't. Not right now. If I wanted it to work, I could make it work, right? But for now, I mean, you know, it would be rather dangerous. I try to be safe. I mean, it's safety third, but like, you know, something like that would make safety like non-existent, I feel like. So we are gearing up for our last heat of the day. I'm super excited that you're to have been here, and I had a lot of fun. So on Wednesday, we will be continuing to work on the handle section of this axe, just to kind of clean it up, make it nice and pretty, and be able to get a handle in it. That will be the end of this project. I should finish it by the end of that stream. If we finish it a little bit early, we'll probably do a few nails just to finish out the stream, have, you know, some content. After that, so Friday, we are going to be doing hairpins. And I'm going to start with 1/4 inch stock, which is really, really thick, but we're going to do a really quick draw down, a taper. And I want to put a drifted circle in the middle of my pin. So we shall see if I can make that happen. I have a design in my head. I don't know how well it'll go, but we'll try it. If Ray was listening to music, we'd hear her randomly break out into Shake It Off or Teardrops on My Guitar. You would. Although probably not Teardrops on My Guitar, because I'm not a big debut Swiftie. But Shake It Off, definitely. You definitely hear me, you know, singing and dancing to Shake It Off. You might get some Ariana Grande out of me, though. Definitely some Chapel Roan, and if you know Chapel Roan, you get bonus points. All right. Last heat, guys. Alrighty, I think that's all she wrote for the day. We've got a little bit left to go on that pilot hole that we drilled at the very beginning to get the drift through on both sides. And I want to even out that slot. So that's what we're going to be doing on Wednesday, making sure everything is nice and even and straight. Finesse. Gotta finesse our axe. It's looking real nice so far. Pretty happy with it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have had so much fun. Oh yeah, so far my forge welding is not working. First time trying with charcoal. Yeah, I imagine it would be a little bit harder with a new fuel. If you guys have any suggestions for who we're gonna raid, please do let me know. Otherwise, we are gonna take a look at my friends list and see who's around. I think we're gonna go with, ooh, there's a new woodworker. Let's go here. Woodworking with innuendos. J.Deep. If it is too out there, let me know on the next stream, but we're gonna try it. Looks like we're making a multi-wood piece. Checkerboard almost. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I have had a blast. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.